So, rolling? Alright, well, anyway, folks, yeah, it's a good thing I'm a patient person because I don't know if you saw my last video about my having a drawing table. Man, I still don't have a drawing table, so I don't know. But anyway, I'm really tired, but I want to do a video about. I came across a piece I wrote about this teacher I had in 11th grade. This guy was. I don't think he was like really. I don't think it was really a good idea to have this guy teaching, high school kids because he was like too fucking weird. He was a Korean War veteran, and he went down like in a bomb or something like that, and he got like burned up really, 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 really bad. He didn't have any fingers, he didn't have any ears, he only had part of his nose. His face was like, like melted wax, and yeah, as you would expect, he had sort of a. Oh, cynical's too weak of a word, but he was a real, a kind of a negative guy, I guess. You might think like, well, somebody going through a tragedy like that might, gain some like profound, insight into existence itself, if not like his own existence. But I'm pretty convinced that like you can go through the most intense stuff you can imagine, and all it does is it just like makes them bitter a lot of times. It doesn't really add any extra dimension to their character or anything like that. So he was pretty, I guess you could say, bitter, and kind of superficial as well too. He used to brag about how like he had this like really great pension from the army, and he made additional money teaching at the high school, and what a sweet deal that was. He had a chamois coat, which is I guess like the skin of a deer or something like that, very expensive. He like talk about how he like uses it to like dry off his like fucking BMW and stuff like that. I mean, whatever. So he was like really twisted. He used to give us writing assignments. One, I mentioned all this stuff in the article. You're not going to get any new information out of me. I'm just like remembering what I can. I don't remember very much actually. I have very poor memory for stuff that happened to me in school. I can't even hardly remember any of the people I went to school with, except for like maybe a small handful of people. And those people, I can remember like their first names, and I don't remember too many events or anything like that. But they say when you get really old, your long-term memory improves. So like maybe in another 30 years, I'll be able to write my memoirs and have more detail. Anyway, back on the subject at hand. He gave us a writing assignment once. It's like, you're on an airplane that's destined to crash, and everybody on board is going to die. Except you. Now, what would be your reason for being allowed to go on living? And don't give me any of that stuff like I got my whole life ahead of me, because that's not going to fly. And so, of course, this writing assignment was based on his experience, because he was the only person who survived out of the plane to crash that was carrying him. So that right there to give you an idea like how morbid this guy was. Another assignment he gave us was, is it always morally correct to like tell the truth? And he said that he didn't necessarily think so, because he said one time he was on the television show talking about the incident, and then some woman came to talk to him after the show aired, and she said, "Oh, my son was on that plane. Did he die a painless, quick death?" And he said he lied to her and said, yeah, he died instantaneously. And he's like, well, should I have told her the truth that he roasted to death like a weenie, screaming? All the plastic of the Balter had melted around him. Like fucking sick shit like that. But he was really weird. So we had his class fifth period right after lunch, and this friend of mine and I used to like sometimes like go off at lunch and get like really stoned and come to class stoned, and of course like. Mitch said that like watching him was like watching like some kind of like cartoon or claymation or something, because it was sort of like really kind of a surreal trip to watch this guy. And he had like this really weird kind of like whiny voice. He talked like this. I don't know, maybe his vocal cords were affected or something, because he went through that tremendous heat. I don't know, but he talked really funny. He said he spent like a few hours every night hooked up the dialysis machine. Oh, so yeah, I don't know. I don't think he's like alive anymore. This was like over 30 years ago, and it sounded like he was pretty messed up. So I'm pretty sure he's dead. Mr. Lint. I don't know his first name. He was a teacher of literature and composition teacher down at North Hollywood High School in the early 80s. I don't know if that might help some of you if you're interested in like tracking him down, in case you have such a desire. But yeah, the angry Mr. Lint, and I'll link back to like an article as well as I wrote about him, as well as a picture I drew of him when I was on LSD one time back in 11th grade. So, okay, that's my Mr. Lint video. So see you in the next video, guys.